may not know Gartner, right? Gartner is a research firm that the governor contracted to go in and do this assessment, okay? And they're very well known in the IT community. Carter also mentioned Kroll. Kroll specializes in cybersecurity assessment, so I know several of you were part of that, at least from the IT perspective, but maybe not some of the fiscal people in the room. So I just wanted to kind of clear that up a bit. Carter mentioned, you're going to hear this throughout, right? So what we don't want to do is a you or us. We really need a we, right? And that's kind of cliche, but it's really true. We all work for state government. A lot of us in the room all work with IT. We all kind of want the same outcomes on behalf of the state, so we really have to work together to make this happen. And we've been joking, but really we do need you, right? You're critical to this. You know things about your agency that we don't know, and we'll never know, right? You know the ins and outs of your business solutions, the needs of your end users. We don't know that. We need your help, right? And so that's why we put together this process. So I've been part of this effort for about 6 months, right? So we've been building up to this point. And really, I was thinking about it the other day because I went to the mall, and I rarely go to the mall, thankfully. And I needed some shoes. And I walked into the mall, right? And you see I was there, right? Shoe store was way over here. And I didn't know how to get there, but luckily there was a sign. And I kind of meandered my way about, and I got lost a few times, right? And I ran into the wrong stores a few times. But ultimately, I got to the shoe store, and I got my shoes. So that's kind of where we are today. Jim's going to dive into this a little bit from a scheduling perspective, but there's a lot to do. We know the end result. We don't know all the details on how we get there, but we're going to get there as a team. So one of the things, and once again, Carter mentioned Gartner. They made all these recommendations. They made several recommendations on how DIS needed to improve, right? And so we wanted to acknowledge that and kind of go through this with you because we're going to need your help getting there as well. One of the ways we need to improve IT and state government is to finalize the governance process. And so we have our enterprise architecture team in the room. We have our chief enterprise architect, Scott Utley, and he's working to make this happen. But we're going to need your help. We need your feedback, right? We don't want to make decisions in a vacuum. We need you to make those decisions on behalf of the state. So we're working on that. Change management. We have a lot in our data center today, right? If we make one change, a lot of things can go wrong, as you may have seen in the past. We need to really firm up that process, and we need to communicate better. We need to know all the pieces that touch each other and how that's going to impact you or your end users. Service priority transparency, right? So we hear this a lot. Well, if I go down, I'm not a priority for you. And so we really need to kind of firm that up and talk through what does get priority. Public safety probably should get priority, or maybe education if it's in the middle of the school day. But we want your help determining that. The service catalog, I'm sure several of you have seen our service catalog and our rate sheet. I help put the thing together and I can't hardly make sense of it. So we have to correct that issue. Siloed support and delivery. This is a real issue within DIS, and my guess is it's an issue within your agencies as well. I think from an IT perspective, we want to break down those silos. We want to work more closely and work together to make things happen. IT financial management, our CFO is on our team, and she's on our team for a reason. That's a real area where we want to kind of sharpen our skills a little bit, and she'll talk a little bit later on some of the questions that you sent in. Service desk, self-service capabilities. You know, several of you for years have dealt with our call center. You call into 682 help, or you send in a ticket through email. We really want to make that more robust and make it more user-friendly, and we're actively working on that now. Disaster recovery is critical. That's a big piece to this. And while we have some disaster recovery capabilities, we really need to expand that. Data protection and backup services kind of go hand in hand with that as well. And then ultimately, self-provisioning. What do you need, right? And let you do it. You know what you need. Go in and quickly punch a few keys and make that happen. So that's kind of the end result of where we're going. So you've heard the push-pull team. Once again, we're the pull team. You're the push team, right? It's a very collaborative approach, and the reason we're using it is because it's been successful in several other states. And so we appreciate you being part of the push team. Some of the issues we'll talk through are funding, all right? Where do you get your funding? How are you funded? Are there any grants or any kind of gotchas associated with your funding? Contracts you have in place today, are there some enterprise contracts we can take advantage of? Service level agreements. We need you to understand that the level of service we're capable of providing, and you need to hold us to that. Infrastructure is obvious. We need to talk through that. Applications is where Missy comes in. Procurement. If we can take advantage of an enterprise procurement approach, that's the way to do it. governance, rates are critical, and then really ultimately we want to have a great relationship with you guys. So real quick, I'd like to introduce our pool team just so you can kind of put a name with the face. I'll start with Jim Coyne, Jim Cassan real quick. Jim is in our enterprise architecture team. He's got a varied background in technology, and he's our project sponsor. Debbie Martin. Debbie manages our operations center. It's been around for years. Many of you know Debbie. Brian Fortson is our operations division director. Amy Buss is our CFO. And then, of course, myself, Rick Martin. Rick is here. Rick's been working on our network for years. Missy Moorhart, applications development. And then Christy McKinnon from a legislative perspective. And then Marat All. Marat's in the room back there. He's going to keep us on track from a process perspective. So that's our team you'll be meeting with. So I need to make this point, which is this will not be easy. And so I mentioned Larry Tate earlier. Larry's going to give you kind of a testimonial here, but we moved economic development into our data center environment on a Friday night, right? This was Wednesday of that week. And so as you can see, it took a lot of people to make that happen successfully. And it's going to take a lot of people on your end to make the same thing happen as well. So we joked about this picture, but it really makes the point that this is going to have to be a team effort.